The Queen is Dead. By Meep the Changeling. Chapter 13. Counterspelling, GI Style. Jade, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, evening. This was my first time being angry as a mammal. That's probably a weird sentence for any other species to even think about, but trust me, there's a difference. A changeling gets angry and we're just sort of negative to the source of the anger. Apparently when a Pegasus gets angry their forehead throbs, they feel their blood flowing, and a deep sort of burning in the back of them and flares up like some pony tossed oil on a fire. So I decided to beat the taproot out of a tree with my 4 hooves. A decision which I regretted on the first pain-inducing strike, but that weird mammal mad state was just fueled by causing further tree punching. I had managed to smash a hoof-deep part out of one tree when a piercing whistle slapped my eardrums. Damn! I really underestimated how pissed off you are, David said with an impressed tone of voice. Need another minute? I sat down and shook my head. No. I think I'm cool. David stepped over and crouched to inspect the tree. Shit, maybe I should have you drilling in hand to hand. Well, did work better than sword, I muttered sourly. David shook his head in that little holding back a chuckle way of his. You'll get it eventually. Especially once you figure out that you have a thrusting blade, not a slashing blade. What? I demanded angrily, stamping a hoof. What didn't you tell me that was a thing? Because I thought you would work it out. David answered, sitting down with his back to the damaged tree. You're pretty bright, and it's almost always better to understand things on your own. Not like math, but the practical things. Tools, skills. Self-taught means you worked out how to do it your way. You're better off that if someone tried to force you to do things their way. I guess that made some kind of sense. But David wasn't here to talk about tools or training. So, what are we going to do about that idiot? I asked hesitantly. There's nothing to do, David answered seriously. He's eaten up about the whole thing. If someone knows they fucked up and they are sorry enough to be crying about it, there's not much you can do. It's also not as bad as you think. We still have enough to get to a port in Zebrica, just a closer one than preferable. I clenched my teeth to hold back an angry growl. He still. Yes. He did. We can't change the past. All we can do is change the future. I would toss him out of our group, but we need his skill at spells, and he's sorry. Everyone gets one major fuck up forgiven. I understand that we all make mistakes from time to time. From now on, I'll handle our finances, and we're going to make Azza get the money's worth out of that outfit. Somehow. David grunted. A question clawed at the back of my mind, interrupting my thoughts and demanding I ask it finally. David, why do you use that foul-friendly cursing all the time? It sounds so stupid. You're an adult. Swear properly. David blinked, grinned, and laughed for a few moments before shaking his head. Look, that is proper swearing in my homeland. I've been thinking the same thing about everyone here. But let's not get off topic. Hey. Well, okay then. I sighed and looked over at Azza as he sat by the cart and asked, how the bucking hay did he even blow the money like that? I didn't ask. David informed. If you're curious, go ask him. Just don't scream at him about it. We need to keep our little group's outlook as positive as we can, okay? Cool heads plan best. I stood up with a nod. I think I will. Is my shape holding up okay? No, put your eyes back. David said, then gave me a quick look over, and the brand on your left side is gone too. I closed my eyes, reached for my magic, and focused on the red Pegasus I had imagined being, doing my best to forget my real self. After a heartbeat I felt the magic tingle over my body in a wave, fixing the small holes in the shape I had chosen. There you go. All flappy pwned up. David said, he nodded towards the cart. Kiss and makeup. I did my best to ignore the fact that he had said flappy pone and walked over to Azza. He flinched as I walked up to him, ears drooping sadly. I'm sorry. Yet. I grunted. Look. I like David, he's a great guy, and I owe him my life. He's forgiven you, so I'm going to too. But you get one. Just one. Got that? I gave him the most serious look that I could pull off. Azza nodded, flinching visibly. J-A-U-N-D, ah. It won't happen again. I know I have a problem MIT impulse shopping, but this. I've never done something this bad before. I mean. I understand budgets. I thought I was good MIT. Look. I have to know, what exactly happened? I asked sitting down, doing my best to get the angry out of my voice. Well, as it began, I walked to the city, this mare came up from behind me. Really? I asked surprised. I don't remember seeing any pony pass us. Azza blinked at me curiously. Well, someone could have, but I don't remember if they did. I admitted. I was practicing shape-shifting. So, well you know. You must have just missed her. Azza agreed hesitantly. So, she's chatty and was pretty creepy. Her eyes. She had these yellow-green eyes which, he shivered slightly, anyways she told me if I took a road called Cherry Street, I would avoid the tourist district. So I did, because I knew I might decide to buy something small. I gave him a dirty look. And Neen. Not like, well, an expensive dress, but maybe something worth a few coppers, like a drink, or a cheap necklace. Azza explained. Oh. I guess that wouldn't have been a problem. I mean a lot of our cash was yours to begin with. I admitted. But I didn't want that, so I took her advice. Then, after getting into the city gates I bumped into a merchant as his eyes widened slightly, and a small smile formed on his face, right. Masked. He said to come see him later if I couldn't get passage. He was erfurchtig schon. Very nice. He gave me a few silver in case I didn't have enough. I blinked and tilted my head slightly. Wait, some pony gave you money. He answered quickly. I explained I was looking for passage out of the country he gave me 8 eagles after. I don't know. I must have mentioned I might not have had enough. He also said to talk to him at his shop later if I couldn't find a ship. We should go do that, I guess he owns a cargo ship or something. That was really suspicious. Who they just gives some pony else cash. Even if they are looking to get you to purchase a service from. So, someone told you to take a certain street, and on the way there someone else gave you money, and then you went down the street and found something you liked so much you had to buy it, losing most of the money. I asked, just to confirm my suspicions. That's Azza stopped mid-sentence, grit his teeth, and slapped a hoof to his forehead, that's a con. I nodded, yep. Hey, I think that one's even in my scout's manual. My anger started to come back. I was still pissed off at Azza, but now also at whoever the buck was running the con. It's probably masked. He makes sure you lose most of your money, and have to buy his services to get out, so he gets all of your money instead of a fair price. You know what? I stood up and reached into the cart for my saddlebags and short sword, and tossed them onto my back. I'm going to go get our money back. Distract David for a bit, then head to Mask's shop. I'm going to see if I can't steal our money back before you guys get there. Is that a good idea? Azza asked carefully. Probably not, but bucket. I'm mad, and I've been feeling useless for days now. I grumbled as I buckled my gear's straps on. It was hard with my hooves. How do Pegasi manage this every day? I can't stop you, can I? He asked timidly. Nope. I replied, finally getting my gear straight. His shop is on Walnut. I think I can get you 10 minutes, Azza said in a defeated tone. Good girl, I said, giving him a pat on the shoulder before trotting off. I'm not a girl, Azza called back in reflexive frustration. You blew 50 bits on a pretty dress. That is so a mere thing, I called back before galloping off down the road. As I sprinted for the city gates, I learned something. The myths about Pegasi are totally true. They are way faster on the ground or in the air than a changeling, but way less maneuverable. It must have only taken me 8 minutes to reach the gates at a full run. As I approached the gate, a plate-armored guard held up a hoof. Halt! Not wanting to run onto his friend's spear, I skidded to a stop. Ma'am, think carefully, why were you running at 2 of the king's men while armed? The guard demanded. Oh. Cordyceps. Yeah, that's something I should have thought of. I'm traveling from Applewood, I said, due to that being the first thing that popped into my head. Ah. Yes, that would explain the weapon, the guard with the spear said from behind his or her helmet. Hold on, is that a mage blade? How are you using that without magic? With my hoof, I said / asked. The first guard shook his head. Things must have gotten even worse in the northern region. You lot normally have proper weapons. Aha! An opening. My training and what I had read in the Scout's manual sprang to mind. Yes, there were 2 raids, back to back. We lost a lot of food and weapons. I was hoping to find a smith here who might be willing to make a deal for some food to get some proper weapons delivered. The guard floated her spear back up to a rest position and nodded. Grim work that. You can be assured that His Majesty won't allow Applewood to remain defenseless for long. You do provide a pretty good amount of food to every pony else. Try Tong's place on Walnut, he might be willing to work out a deal and bill the crown. Hey! Nice, that's where I wanted to go anyways. Score 1 for scout training. Thanks. Could you point me towards Walnut? I asked timidly. Sure. Big place, isn't she? Head straight down the main road, 3rd road on your left is Walnut, Tong's shop is the 4th on the right. Spear guard said helpfully. Thanks again. I started to step forwards, but the other guard shook his head. One moment, why the running? Pony feathers. Oh. I kicked a wasp's nest. I lied. Ah, Tartarus, the guard stepped aside quickly. If you led them here and I get stung, I will buck you right in the nose on your way out of the city. I giggled and gave him a nod. That's totally fair. Slipping into the city gates, I couldn't help but be comforted by the stone everywhere. As long as I didn't look up, it felt nice and safe here. Maybe the inside of one of these buildings would be nice and comfortable. I followed the guard's directions, skirting around the few ponies out and about this evening until I reached Walnut Street, I guess. The sign labeling the road was broken. It looked like a pretty nice place. The road was wide, the buildings were all 2 stories or taller, and every single place had a carved wooden signboard advertising its business. There were 3 smiths, 2 bakers, a carpenter. I hadn't seen any place like this before in my life. It felt like if you needed it, you could get it here. That was a pretty good feeling. There was a special kind of security that went with it. A special kind of feeling that vanished as I spotted a squat 3-story building with a slanting shingle roof labeled with a sign bearing a laughing mask and a wooden shipping crate. That had to be the place. The question was how to get a look inside without being seen. I scanned the building's face with my eyes, flicking over each window. They were all closed, but didn't seem to have any glass on them. I could probably fly up and open one, but unfortunately the street was pretty busy and I was a dark red. I wouldn't blend in with the grayed wood roof tiles. However, there was an alleyway. Maybe there was a side door. I ducked into the side alley, and sure enough there was a small wooden door set into the wall. With some luck, it might not be locked. I trotted forwards to gently try turning the doorknob and tack, 2, L, N G. I froze in place. That was definitely channeling telepathy. Just not my own hives. It was fuzzy, a little hard to understand as more than a buzzing whisper. I closed my eyes and focused. They told us how to listen to other hives in school. I just needed to imagine I could understand them, reach for my magic, then forget that I couldn't really understand them and he should have come here by now, a voice said clearly. Aha! There it was. Hypnosis is an art, not a science, a second voice said firmly. That's why I had him also blow their money on that dress. The only place they can afford to go is here, so if they don't come here, we know where they are headed and alert the swarm. Though if he does not lead them here, it's because 3 overdid her conjuration and his satisfaction broke him free. You passed me his memories of his dearest lost possession. I recreated it as he recalled it being. I cannot help if he remembers it better than it was, a third voice objected. Yes, I can, I know you. You added to it to fill that pitiful gap in your mind you call an artistic spark. The second spat. That gap ensnared the twink better than your hypnosis did. He would have willed his way through, if I hadn't made the fabric shiny as he was looking away, the third complained. The Queen lets me keep that spark for just that reason. It is useful. I still say we should have simply attacked the 2 at the wagon when they split up and left the mage alone, the first voice insisted. The odds of an errant spell destroying the book are low. I do not understand the Queen's fears. With only 3 of us firing. Perhaps, but do you want to fight that diamond dog without preparing the battlefield? No thank you, the second and third chorused as one voice. But now we have to fight him and the mage at the same time, the first protested. Not an issue, my hypnosis will still be in effect for the next 3 hours. I doubt I could make him fight for us, but I can easily shut him down with crippling depression, the second scoffed. I thought you said it wasn't a science, one said snidely. It isn't, but that unicorn is a walking bag of dark memories. Emotionally malleable as clay on a potter's wheel, as long as you know his secret, the second boasted. I leaned in curiously. I had to know this. And that would be, the first and third chorused as one. He's never been loved, and wants to know what it's like above all else. It drives him as strongly as a starving changeling. His parents ignored or hated him, his friends were more like acquaintances. It's shaped everything about him. He wants only to be loved, held, and valued by another. All I need to do is bring up all the memories where he has failed to be valued, and he'll collapse like a house of cards, the second voice laughed, adding, I saw all of his memories before he entered the city. He may as well be a swarm mate to me. That is different. We can engage the enemy as planned, 1 and 3 chorused. I stopped listening. That was enough. We were right in the middle of a carefully arranged trap, and Asa was likely already on his way here with David to try to get that friendly merchant to help us. I had to give the warning before it was too late. Or I could duck inside and slip out with the money and we could avoid the trap with the enemy none the wiser. I closed my eyes and did my best to direct my thoughts to David, hoping he was in range. David, it's a trap. The whole thing was set up by the swarm. There are 3 infiltrators here. Asa is hypnotized, make him stay outside. I'm going to try to get in and find our money. It sounds like they are all watching the front door, so I should be fine. I carefully turned the doorknob with a hoof and pushed it open a fraction of an inch. Before him was a short hallway. I could see a large room to the front which was well lit, and had the shadow of a unicorn cast onto the wall. The other side of the hallway ended at some stair moving upwards. All clear. I pushed the door open, stepped inside softly as I could, and snaked my way to the edge of the hall to get a look into the common room. A quick look confirmed that all 3 changelings were in there. A Pegasus, Earth Pony, and a unicorn, locked in silent communication. My eyes passed over the rest of the room, searching for anything which looked like a bag of coins. The room was mostly empty, some old paintings line the walls, along with paper charts and lists. There was a single table and some chairs, probably for holding negotiations, and aha! There, a large coin purse, right on top of the table. In the middle of the room. With the changelings between it and myself. Darn! If only had picked a unicorn shape. On the other hoof, the bag was only a few meters from the door, and I was pretty quick on these hooves. I squinted at the door, checking it for yes. It swung outwards. I could do this. I took a deep breath, shook my wings, braced my rear hooves to sprint. A green nimbus ripped my forwards into the room, slamming me back first into the table. The magic kept me pinned in place as the changeling in unicorn shape glared at me with burning eyes the same color as the ruby in her necklace. "Hello, sneak thief!" She spat, "You picked the wrong business to rob." Oh good, she didn't know who I was. "Not bad TW Sable," the Pegasus-guised Ling complimented, "good eye. This little punk apparently thinks her face is see-through." She chuckled darkly. "Well, I think I'll make it see-through. Do you know who I am? I cast spells." The door exploded inwards in a shower of splintered wood. A green, red, and white blur flew from the dust with a brass flash. The unicorn's head jerked to the side with a loud crunch, she dropped to the floor, the magic holding me down vanishing in a puff of deep green sparks. I cast fist. David growled.